Hello and welcome to Long Beach Lens. I'm your host, Derek J. Simpson, Executive Director of the Long Beach Community Action Partnership. We have a very special guest in the studio today. He is a pastor of Life Gospel Ministries in North Long Beach and civic engagement advocate for Molina Healthcare and someone I consider a friend. Please join me in welcoming Stephen Neal. How you doing, sir?
Always good to see you, Derek. It's
Always.
great to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So, former councilman of the 9th District and really created a change, a positive change in the 9th District that continues now with our current councilman and vice mayor. But tell us about life since politics and what's going on with Stephen Neal.
Well, life since politics,
Or is there a sense? Maybe you're still involved there.
to be perfectly honest, it's I'm still doing the same kind of work. I don't have the responsibilities,
Right.
the legislative or policy responsibilities, but as far as advocacy and being active in the community, the stint as a council member was one rung on the ladder. I'm still very active in the community. As you mentioned, I pastor a church in North Long Beach. I've been part of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference for a couple of decades. So I've been involved, and then prior to going on city council, I was very active in Democratic Party politics and on the campaign side, helping folks get elected. So since my tenure on the legislature, I'm not as active on that side, the campaign work as I was when I was much younger.
Okay.
I wasn't this gray.
Yeah, I know the gray feeling.
But now it's more from an advocacy perspective, particularly with clergy.
Okay. Now you mentioned the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or SCLC, and
Yes.
before that, I guess its genesis was the Montgomery Improvement Association. And having grown up in Mobile, Alabama, and Montgomery just 2 hours up I-65, I know that before my time, actually the year I was born, 1957, full disclosure, was when a specific meeting was held that transformed from that Improvement Association with Dr. Martin Luther King and Reverend Ralph Abernathy
Yeah.
being the program director, and King was the president, and the genesis of the SCLC happened, and it really made this dynamic shift internationally in nonviolent protest. And so here we are today with you being involved in the SCLC, but now you're talking about bringing a chapter of this historic organization to Long Beach. How did this all happen?
Well, it's so good to see that you know the history of the SCLC. As you said, being from Alabama, I'm sure you're acutely aware of the role that it played during the civil rights era. And when you look at the issues that Dr. King and Abernathy were addressing, a lot of those social conditions still exist. And in 1964, because after this time that you explained, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference goes on to be formed, and they play a huge role, and they start establishing chapters all over the country. And in 1964, Dr. King came out here and met with Thomas Kilgore and Mayor Dollarhide, who was the first African American mayor in Compton. And they created the genesis for the SCLC Los Angeles, which has a long history of activism here in Southern California, particularly in Los Angeles area. And the interesting part about that in 1964, when Dr. King came out, because Dr. King was a very controversial figure, and this is. I mean, if you think about it, this is prior to the Watts riot, so things are heating up, right? It's leading to something, and the only elected official that came out to meet him was our supervisor, Janice Hahn's dad, Kenneth Hahn.
Kenneth Hahn. And she's been on this story and tells that story about how her dad was the only one to go. and literally brought her to tears when she talks about that.
It's absolutely true. So, but Dr. King himself came out here to establish the Los Angeles chapter, and there's a long history of executive directors that have played a role there. Mark Ridley Thomas was a director of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference here. Dr. Norman Johnson, who's a faith leader and ran for the state assembly in the early 2000s. Eric Lee, our current president, Pastor William Smart, has a history of activism in the African American community nationally, played a key role in Bill Clinton's campaign to get elected president. So, and I've been involved with probably the last 5 executive directors in some form. So the Los Angeles chapter, as I say, has been very active in LA, and what we've always had a vision of doing is having a chapter more specific to some of the issues here in Long Beach and the surrounding communities, maybe South Bay communities, who, you know, culturally, it's a little bit different than LA, and also politically, the political structure. So it gives us an opportunity to tap into what the broader region is doing and what's happening on a national perspective, but specifically drill down on issues that affect us more regionally that we can have more of an immediate impact on.
Are there specific things that you would say, wow, if we could do these 1 or 2 things, we would consider ourselves a success as we launch as a chapter here?
Well, you know, really what I would envision as success is if we could really collaborate with some of the existing organizations that are here.
Which will be key, being new coming in. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, my hesitation about even taking this on was that my general feeling was we don't need another organization.
Right.
But I think there's a distinct space that we can carve out that we can address that may not be addressed by any other issue in the way that a national organization like the SCLC can. And specifically, you know, kind of social justice kind of issues, those kind of things. I think there's a space that we could naturally provide that's not being offensive to anyone else and that no one's really occupying. But with that, kind of bring people together as opposed to all of us working in silos. It's the same philosophy I had when I was a councilman here. It's like we're all doing good work, but no one's connecting the dots. What if we could convene folks and maybe create some kind of environment where we could use our synergies and work collaboratively and look at more opportunities for the region specifically, both financially, because, you know, when we collaborate, there's all kinds of grant activities, and there's a lot of good things happening in Long Beach right now on several levels that if the community is strategic, they can tap to and maybe work with our civic governments as far as grants and federal funding and state funding that's coming to the area. And I think we can position ourselves to make a difference here.
So we're going to be close on time, and I want to get some rapid fire questions and answers because I want to be sure we cover as much ground as we can.
Sure.
Who can be a member and what's required of membership?
Anyone that has an affinity for the kind of things we're going to address can join, but anyone will be available to join in.
And how can they find out more if they want to get more information?
You can go to our website. It's the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Southern California.
Okay.
Right. So the Long Beach branch is going to be. It's not going to be autonomous from Southern California at this point. I think if we have an opportunity to possibly build something, but we're going to be part of the Southern California branch.
And when will the first meeting, for the community?
Well, you know, we are working on that. We're doing a visioning session. We're trying to pull together some of the key leaders of some of the other organizations and have a visioning session first before we invite the public to our meeting. As a matter of fact, you are on the list of invitees to that as we try to make a strategic roadmap that I think everyone can agree with.
Right. I heard once on radio years ago, and I think it was PBS, and they were talking about how, the NAACP or the SCLC and others tend to be more reactive than proactive, especially in socioeconomic issues. We only have 2 minutes, but how will that be changing, you think, under your leadership here in Long Beach, where we can be more proactive?
Well, I think that's such a key point is in order for us to be proactive, then you have to set some sort of agenda, something that you're working towards. And I think those organizations that you just mentioned traditionally have been reactive, or you hear about them when they're reactive.
Right.
We have an agenda that we work on at the SCLC, and it's generally around youth education. It's around civic engagement. It's around getting people active in their local politics. All politics is local, so we want to make sure that you're aware of what's happening on your water board, school boards, those things. So pushing an agenda, making sure that folks are aware of it, and then collaborating with some of the other organizations, I think could go a long way in addressing that.
Well, we're out of time, but
this is fine.
I want to make sure that we have your information up and
Sure.
we stay in touch, because this is so important. And as you said, it's not that organizations aren't doing things, people aren't just aware. And maybe that's
Exactly.
a strategy that we need to engage to let people know what's going on behind the scenes before things blow up. Thank you so much. Looking forward to working with you. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will welcome Madison Mooney, the Executive Director of the Long Beach Playhouse. Stay tuned for more of Long Beach Lens. Welcome back to Long Beach Lens. I am Derek J. Simpson. Our next guest is the executive director of the Long Beach Playhouse. Please join me in welcoming Madison Mooney. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I want to hear more. I'm excited about this interview because I'm ashamed to say that I haven't been to the Playhouse as much.
Oh, you got to check us out.
I know I do. I know I do. And you're about to tell me why. So your background, first of all, I was asking about your ring, and you were saying you're from the Bay Area.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I grew up a little south of San Francisco and
Okay.
then moved down here for Cal State Long Beach, where I got my degree in theater.
Okay.
And then while at Cal State Long Beach, I discovered the Long Beach Playhouse and started stage managing and volunteering and acting, and then was hired on as the business and operations manager in 2012.
Okay.
Then I was that for about 4.5 years, and then I've been the executive director now for about 6 months, which is
Wow,
exciting.
well, congratulations.
Yeah,
I
thank
didn't realize
you.
it was so soon.
It's been exciting.
Yes, yes. But that's cool in terms of students that are listening to say that you can make that transition from just being a part of the crew to just kind of really working your way up.
Yeah, we've worked with a lot of current Cal State Long Beach students and recent alums, a lot of our designers and actors, some of our directors. So yeah, we've been able to partner with them.
So you found out about the Playhouse when you were a college student here, but there may be some who live here and still don't really know a lot about the Playhouse.
We get brand new people to the Playhouse every show, and they've lived in Long Beach all their lives, or they've been here 10 years and they hadn't heard of us. So we get a lot of new people along with our patrons that come back every show.
What makes it special? If someone's watching now, what would you say compelling to say, what, of all the things in Long Beach, this is one thing that should be on your bucket list for 2017?
I think the Playhouse is very special in the way that we're a community theater. So we're a lot of volunteers, and we're amateur actors. And so it's community theater for the community. We try to represent our community in the shows we produce and then who we work with. So I think it's very special that we're a Long Beach-based institution, and we're here for the people of Long Beach.
Now you say productions about the community or that they can relate to. Can you give an
Yeah,
example
we
of
try to
some
have
of
an
those?
array of different types of shows throughout the year. And we've also tried to make sure that we focus on the diversity of our city and it reflects in our shows. Right now we're doing Fences on our main stage, which is a wonderful play.
The Fences that was
Yeah, there was a
Denzel
movie
Washington?
recently. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We don't have Denzel on our stage, but it's a pretty good
What?
production. Upcoming in our studio theater, we're going to be having a Cowboy versus Samurai, which is kind of a modern Cyrano de Bergerac tale with Asian Americans. So trying to reflect our community in our productions is very important to us.
Wow. And you say these are amateur actors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all of our actors are volunteers. During the day, they're a vet technician, and at night, they're rehearsing and putting on a show.
Well, if I'm that person who thinks I have the skills to be Denzel or whoever the actors are that you require for your productions, not that I don't have the looks to be Denzel, but that's a whole different story.
Well, you can come in and audition. We have open auditions. It's open to the community.
That's the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we have people that are still in high school that audition for us,
Oh,
and
wow.
people that have been, doing community theater for 30 years that audition. So we have really a range of ages and experience on our
Children?
stages. Yes, some of our shows do have kids. Christmas Carol, we've been doing Christmas Carol every year, and there's a lot of different kids opportunities in that show. And then once in a while, we'll have children in our regular plays as well, not just the holiday one.
Now, I read that you have 2 different stages.
Yes.
What's that about?
Yes, we have our main stage. It's our on the ground floor. It's a 200-seat theater, kind of horseshoe shape. It's almost in the round.
Okay.
You have audience on 3 sides, and so we do a lot of more family-friendly productions down there. And our upstairs is our studio. It's a smaller house, 98 seats, a traditional proscenium, and we do kind of more contemporary or edgier shows up there that kind of appeal to a younger audience. And so we try to get everybody interested in one of our shows. If you look at our 13 shows from the year, you're going to find one that you like. So we try to hit everybody.
Now, speaking of hitting everybody, when I was looking at research, 34,000 patrons annually.
About,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
number. So
We got a lot of people coming through our doors, which is great. And a lot of people that have been coming to our shows, for 30 years, they're seasoned subscribers. And then again, almost every production, we've got brand new people that have never been to our location before, and they've enjoyed a show.
now, do you think that's word of mouth, or do you have a particular strategy, social media wise or marketing wise?
Recently, we've definitely expanded on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those different things. So I think that's definitely appealing to a younger generation coming in to see our shows.
Right.
And again, trying to get edgier contemporary works in our studio definitely brings out a younger crowd.
I was about to ask that because you have people my generation, certain things would appeal, and then you have millennials, and there's that spectrum
Yeah, different
in
types of
between.
shows, yeah.
Now, who decides that? Who decides on
We
what
have an
production?
artistic director.
Okay.
Our artistic director, Sean Gray, he stepped on as artistic director the same time I became executive director. Our former executive director was also the artistic director, so we kind of had to figure out the new roles once he stepped down. So him and a committee from our board of directors discuss possible shows, look at our schedule, look at our limitations, because there's certain shows we can't do because it's too big of a budget or wouldn't work in our space. And he looks over the calendar and figures out what show would work in which space and what time of year. And then he applies for rights, and maybe we're approved, maybe we're denied. Because we're so close to LA and close to professional houses, sometimes we're denied because they might be doing it at the Pantages or something like that. But then he picks the shows and sets the schedule, and then we promote it to the masses.
Now, where are you physically located here in Long Beach?
So we're on Anaheim by the traffic circle, across the street from Recreation Golf Course. So Anaheim, Clark, and PCH, that kind of area.
Yeah.
Sort of close to Cal State Long Beach campus on the east side.
It's a beautiful facility.
Yeah, we've been there since 1951.
Right.
So we've been around for a little bit.
Yeah. So when you talk about other venues, would it ever be a situation where you had a production and let's say the Beverly O'Neill Theater, because you just needed, it was such a great production that you want to go to a larger venue, or is everything pretty much there at your location?
It's kind of set. We're a little limited because we're a community theater. Our actors, are set for the 5-weekend run of a show, and not a lot of people would be able to expand on it after. Because we've had some great shows that have been sold out, and we've tried to
I can imagine.
add another weekend or something like that. But then we are a little limited with our schedule.
Now you mentioned 5 weekends, so is that the typical run of a production?
Yeah. Usually we have a 5-weekend run, opening night, and then 4 weekends after that. We're Friday and Saturday nights, and then certain Sunday matinees at 2 o'clock.
Okay. And what determines a matinee? Just the popularity of the show, or?
We always have Sunday matinees.
Always.
So usually, I think we have 3 on Sunday matinees. They appeal, usually they appeal to an older crowd because if they don't want to be out too late or anything like that, or children who again can't stay out too late.
Yeah. So when you look at 2017, this particular show that we're talking about now will probably be airing in July. So when you look at August and into the Christmas season, what might people look
We've got
forward to?
a great summer musical that's going to be on our main stage, Guys and Dolls, which is just a wonderful, wonderful show, and everyone, it's a classic. And then, as I mentioned earlier, upstairs in our studio, we'll have a show, Cowboy versus Samurai, which is going to be a lot of fun. After that, in the studio, we'll have a show called All in the Timing, which is little vignettes of 6 kind of individual stories throughout the evening. And then mid-October in the studio, we're doing Cabaret, which is a fantastic musical with set in 1930s Nazi era. So it's a little little risque and a little edgy, and a lot of great music with that. Our downstairs theater, the main stage, will be opening up our season, the next season, end of September. At the time of taping, we haven't announced this yet, but when this airs, it'll be announced. We're going to be opening up the season with Dracula, which is going to be a lot of fun. So it'll run all of October, end of September and
Perfect
October.
timing,
So perfect Halloween show for everybody. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Great.
And then we'll close up the main stage year with Christmas Carol in December, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, wonderful. Now, are those cast already set for those productions?
No, not yet. Yeah, we usually have auditions about 6 weeks before opening night, with about 6 weeks of rehearsal time. So we promote the auditions on our website, on our Facebook, and certain casting websites in the area. And then we have open auditions for community members to come on out and show us their stuff.
So this is just an amazing opportunity. Do you ever workshops? I mean, you say that everyone's amateurs, and let's say I'm a young person or a senior or something. Like myself.
We do have a couple of different education opportunities. Every summer we have a Summer Youth Musical Theater Conservatory. It's a 3-week program for kids 7 to 17 who want to learn more about the arts. And then right now we're trying to grow our adult education aspect. We've had audition workshops, and we're trying to grow our improv, kind of the comedic improv classes for adults and late teens. So we're trying to grow that right now because we try to offer every couple of months something
Are there
for people to
costs?
learn more. Yes, it is like classes, workshops.
Okay. So for, like, we serve low-income families and kids here, Are there ever scholarships or anything for that? Or is it
Yes,
just, okay.
yes, we apply for certain grants for
great.
scholarships for our summer program. We've received money from the Gumbiner Foundation in the past, which has been very helpful.
Julie Meenan is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a supporter of
So
ours.
yeah, right now we're figuring out the scholarships for this summer, and then we'll be hoping to get more scholarships next year to grow and expand the grants.
You know, we hear state of the city, state of the nation. What would you say the state of the arts are right now in Long Beach from your perspective?
There's a lot. The Arts Council for Long Beach has been doing a great job of promoting all the different things that are in Long Beach. Theater, music, murals, other types, painting and sculptures and all that. I think there is so much going on in Long Beach, and I'm so glad that we're a part of it. And there's lots of different types of theater as well. There's educational theater, there's Shakespeare, there's professional theater at ICT and MTW. But yeah, I think the state of the arts in Long Beach is fantastic. There's a lot.
Is there a particular moment since you've been with the Playhouse that just stands out in your mind as like, wow, tonight we really knocked it out of the park?
Well, we've had we've got a lot of great shows. A couple of years ago, 2 years ago, the Historical Society for Long Beach put together a gallery of our history in their gallery space. So it was fantastic for their historians to go back and look over our history and pull pictures and programs, and then they put together a readers theater. So we, myself and some of the other staff members, had this little play that we read as characters, as history people from the Playhouse. Ethel Case was one of an important part from the 30s to the 60s, and other important people in our history, so we told their stories. And that event was just fantastic because we got to share our entire 88-year history with everybody in the audience, that was a lot of fun and really cool moment.
That's great. I'm out of time, but I'm not out of questions, but people will be able to contact you as a result of this show.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I'd like to thank Stephen Neal as well as Madison Mooney for joining us on today's show. Be sure to follow PatNet TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest updates. We also welcome your comments and thoughts regarding this show as we strive to serve and make Long Beach Lands a favorite source of local news, information, and entertainment. This show has been brought to you with support from the Long Beach Community Action Partnership, helping people, changing lives. Thank you for watching Long Beach Lands.